Hey everyone. Okay, so I'm just going to start here. Hello, my name is Sarah Watt and I'm doing a Facebook Live right now. So, welcome. No one's watching yet, so I'm not really welcoming anyone. And I wanted to do this because I posted something on my page, I don't know, a week or two ago, and asked a question, like if I did a free 60-minute Zoom on any topic, what would you like to know? And a bunch of people responded. So I may still do some free Zooms, but I thought I was at the gym, I won't lie. That's where I have a lot of my, amazing, ideas come up. Some people it's in the shower. For me, it's at the gym. And I thought, what if I just jump on a Facebook Live and look at some of this? Hello everyone that's joining now. I actually have 2 viewers. Boom. Hi Ronit. Hi Javine. So I've got my computer. I'm in Tallinn in Estonia. So let me just show you. I'm also feeling very advanced because I'm using my selfie stick for the first time. I'm in my hotel room in Estonia, so I'm showing you a little bit of the view. You can't really see much. This window here is actually quite nice. I'm going to actually get out later and maybe possibly see some things. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. I'm very excited. So if you're joining, please ask questions. I'm going to open up my Facebook on my computer so I can hopefully see when you guys ask me things. But yeah, like I was saying, I posted this thing just like randomly, like if I did a free Zoom, what would you like to know about? And there were a bunch of responses. So I'm going to go through some of those, but also if you're on and you're watching this and you have questions, ask me, because questions, they always create something greater. And I was just looking at it too this morning because I woke up here, and a lot of the time it's funny, I'm naturally such a happy person. Like this energy now that I am is pretty much me. Like this is how I am. But a lot of the time when I wake up in the morning, I'm not like this. It's quite weird. I wake up and go into this place of like, I don't even know, like I haven't done enough, or I need to, start moving and doing things and do. And, that could be a bunch of things, but I did start asking some questions about this morning when I woke up and started looking at like where we instantly from that moment when we open our eyes, or even before we open our eyes, like when we're still in bed and still coming out of slumber, start to create our day from the past, like from what you did or didn't get done yesterday, and not even create your day, just create you as you right now. So I started also looking at that and asked like what if we started looking at what version of myself am I being today, or what version of myself am I being right now? And if you're watching this, I'm seeing everyone popping on. I know all of you guys, so hello, thank you for joining. Oh, Jade had a dream about me. I don't know if I want to know more information or not. Cool, yeah. And I get it, probably a lot of people have this too. So, and I totally just lost my train of thought. No, I remember. So if you're coming on and, we're friends on Facebook from previously, or you found me somehow and you're watching this, a lot of what I talk about is access consciousness, which is something. Go and just read and find out more about it if you don't know about it. But a lot of the stuff that I'll be talking about comes from that. Yes, I am Victor. I'm getting there. I'm so impressed with myself. I have a selfie stick, so my arm isn't going to get tired. So you're basically just going to have to put up with me talking forever now, because my arm's never going to get tired doing a Facebook Live. So yeah, so basically access, I found it, through my brother, like maybe 9 or 10 years ago, chose it for a while, stopped using it, and then got to a point maybe 5 years ago where I was like, actually, I was like, I always knew it matched what I desired to create in the world, but we're clever in a lot of ways, because we're like, no, I've got it all down pat, or I wanted to just go and choose sort of more stupidity and anti-consciousness, like maybe I'll just take drugs for a couple more years, maybe I'll hook up with guys that judge me like just for a couple more years, and maybe I'll make choices that you think is creating something, and it's not to make it any sort of wrongness. I had a great time, but then I got to a point maybe 5 years ago where I was like, okay, Sarah, like seriously now, like if we were really going to look at this this life, this living that I'm creating, like what actually in the past, however long it was, 30 years or whatever, what have I come across that has matched what I actually desire to create? And it was that year or so, and what I still saw access choosing in the world that really matched that. So not to go into that too much, but if I'm talking about stuff here and you don't really get what I'm saying, or you want more information, you can ask me, ask in the chat, or just go to accessconsciousness.com, because there you'll find a bunch of stuff, which is exactly how I did it. My brother was like happy, and my mum's like, oh my God, you've got to call your brother and find out he's found this stuff. So I called him, and he was like, just go to this website. And the first thing I did was got my bars run, which is something in Access that's like the fundamentals of Access, like very much the foundation. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. That's what I'll be talking about pretty much whenever I talk on Facebook Lives or do any sort of intro or telecall or class. Everything comes from this, because it's really the thing that has changed and continues to change everything in my life every day. I'm currently watching, I don't know if I can do this, Dane here is in Vienna doing a Symphony of Possibilities class. So he's on my iPad. And I guess it's something that I pretty much immerse myself in as much as I can. So anyway, back to what I was talking about. Waking up in the morning or wherever you are in your day, and like you start to, like, I don't know, it's like it's so ingrained in us to create from something, to create and choose from needing to get something done, or I'm creating or choosing this because I want to change my body, or I'm going to the gym to work out because I need to lose weight, or I want to get stronger. And it's not to say those things like aren't going to be a byproduct of what you're choosing anyway, but I think it's this thing of like where we start to choose from that as the basis of our choice. And the other thing about this is, like, you know, as I said, I've been in Access, I guess, quote unquote, owned by Access. Access owns me, I own it, owned by consciousness, whatever, pretty much quite full on for the last 3, 4, 5 years. And this is still stuff that every day, guys, I look at and ask questions about. Oh, thank you, Jade. Yeah, so it's not like either that you get to this place where it's like, oh, now, you know, I've done consciousnness for a certain amount of time. I've done Access, I've done choice, or whatever it is that you're creating, and now I've made it. Like, guys, every day it's this thing of looking at this stuff and really just peeling away the layers of what you want to change and create in your life, and know that if you've got a sense and you're aware of it, you can change it. And it really can be that easy. And for me, like I was saying, like this state that I'm in now, I'm happy, like my energy's quite, this is me. But a lot of the time when I wake up in the morning, I'm not like this, and it takes me a minute of like, hang on a second. But the cool thing is I change it so quickly now. Hello, Heidi. Oh, my sister's on. Hello, sister. And I guess the thing that's the most like refreshing, or like keeps me going so much, is every time I choose more, it grows more and gets faster. So even with this stuff where I said, like, I wake up in the morning, like if I bought into that of like, oh, you know, life's fucked up, or, oh, here we go another day, and I bought that as like actually my reality, nothing would ever change, you know. Or I would have rather, it would be like the other way around. I would be like that all the time and then have happy moments. Like I was speaking to someone the other day, and honestly, he was like, you can't be happy all the time. And I'm like, what? He's like, you've got to have the bad times to appreciate the good times, which I also get is probably a lot of people's points of view out there. But what if that wasn't the case? Or like, as well, if that's how you desire to be in the world, what if that was fine too? Like, what if your point of view was, if I have the bad times, the good times are so much better, and you were aware of that, and that was where you functioned from, and that was fine as well. And the more you started to realize that whatever you were aware of and desired to change, that was available as well. So like looking at this place of wherever you are in your day, and you start buying into that place of whatever, like, oh, I'm unhappy, or this can't be happy right now because of whatever. Like, what if you could just catch yourself in that moment as well? And, oh, bon dia. And, you know, I just woke up here in Estonia a few hours ago, but wherever you are in the world, like what if tomorrow morning or when you wake up next, you start practicing this a little bit? And that's the other thing too is it's not going to change unless you put in the hard yards. And they don't have to be hard yards, really. I mean, that's just a saying. Like, but things aren't really going to change unless you're willing to be present with it and change it and own it as being changeable, not owning it as being yours, because it's not. Like, I mean, I don't know this city very well, but I travel to a lot of cities. Like probably 80% of the time I don't wake up in my own bed. I wake up in a city or somewhere in the world. So waking up also with that point of view of like, oh, you know, what if like I'm just picking up also on what's going on around me in this big city and how probably most people wake up. And Jade, who's on here, exactly. Oh, great question. Who am I today and what grand and glorious adventures can I have? And like Jade said, she wakes up like this in the morning too. And she, like Jade, someone also that I know is choosing greater, choosing consciousness, access, a bunch of other things as well to have a better life. So if we're the ones that are choosing more and we still wake up like this, what if it's not wrong? And what if it's not ours? And what if it's just this space now to really look at and ask questions of like, what version of myself am I creating today? And what if every day actually you were brand new, like brand new, and you had a sense of yourself energetically, but there was absolutely nothing there solid holding that in place. So you could change it. And sometimes that means getting cranky, like sometimes it means being intense, sometimes it means fucking up and like doing something wrong, quote unquote. But what if like in that moment it was the creation of you, not based on any version of yourself? And what if like everything you guys, like what if everything we want to change in our lives, like whether that's something with our finances or something with our bodies, that there was nowhere you'd done it before that was going to give you the way to do it again? Like what if every moment it was like, okay, so today, you know, I love to move my body, I love to exercise, but if I do this thing of like buying into it needs to look a certain way, where does that give you the opportunity to also create your life as you in the moment? And where is it more creating yourself based on what's actually worked or not worked before? Oh, Jivan, exactly. So Jivan said, I finally choose to be the adult of consciousness rather than being the child of consciousness. And that I love as well. Like, you know, being the adult of consciousness doesn't mean you can't be, you know, stupid and like a child in a lot of ways. Like, I don't know, I'm one of the most inappropriate people I know. I find it hard to keep a straight face in most situations. So it's not even about that, but it's about owning up as well to what the things are, that the things that are in your life that you want to change, and actually changing them and not waiting for anyone else to give you that magic key, whether it's like a facilitator in Access or Gary, Dane, Brendan or Simone, or your parents or your children, like to look at, hey, like if I was creating my life today, like what would that look like? And what would I choose for me? And even if that meant losing, you know, everyone and everything, would you be willing to go there, to do that? So yeah, I didn't really have a plan coming on here. Well, I sort of did, you know, you're like, I want to talk about this and I want to talk about that. And then it all goes out the window. So if you guys have any questions, please post them. I also posted this, like I said before, I posted like a thing on my Facebook saying, if I could do a free Zoom on anything, what would you like to know? And so I'll go through, I love that question too. So some of the stuff you guys, and there was a lot, you guys are awesome. So Christoph asks how to keep aware in every 10 seconds. So in Access, we have this tool, living in 10-second increments, which means like it's everything I've been talking about. It takes you out of that place of creating yourself based on like a previous version or a past choice or something that has or hasn't worked for you in the past. It really keeps you in this place of choosing for now and what's actually going to create more right now. So how do I keep aware in every 10 seconds? Well, that's being present, right? So that's this place of like the minute you notice yourself not being present, it's about coming back to that. And it's a muscle, like anything. Like if you want to improve something or change it or create something different, really the first point, like one of the first points, is to be willing to work that muscle like every 10 seconds of every day, and be willing to like get super used to being uncomfortable. Like you know, we have this place, I think, where we look for the places of comfortability, like the place where we feel good, where we're going to be comfortable. But what if like the true change and the true places that you're going to create something different is where you're willing to be with the really uncomfortable places and not try to avoid them as well. And the other big thing with this as well, like where I started, and I start every day, and I started all of this, was really getting clear on what I want to create my life as. So asking myself that, and being willing also for it to change very often as well. Like maybe it changes every day, maybe it changes every month, but really like what do I want to, what are the crucial elements in my life that I want to have? And for me, happiness is like number one. Like above everything else, it's this energy that I am right now, where I'm happy, where I feel good, and I'm creating, and it doesn't really matter where I am in the world or necessarily what I'm doing, but there's an element to when I ask that question, it matches me. Like it's so funny with energy because it can be so subtle, but also so like in your face. But once you can start to tap into those places, and what do you want to create your life as doesn't necessarily mean the things. It can be the things like, you know, a nice car and a nice house and traveling the world and all that sort of stuff. But when you're willing to look at more of that as an energetic question, then you can start to find the places where you can create that, where you can easily go towards it and add it. So same as waking up in the morning, when you have that like, ugh, like, I don't want to get out of bed. I just want to pull the doona over my head and, you know, sleep for another 16 hours or something like that. Like, what if then was when you were like, hang on, okay. So if I was creating my life today and I wasn't creating it from a version of what I'd done before, and I started to look for that energy again, that energy that I've picked up on and recognized as myself, like, what would that look like? Where would I go? And who would I talk to? And what would I start creating today? And the thing for me that I've noticed is don't plan too far ahead. Like just plan for now. Do this thing like Christoph asked. How do I keep aware in every 10 seconds? Be willing to not plan outside of 10 seconds. And sometimes, you know, obviously you still need to know when your bills are due and, you know, there's things that come up that you need to plan. So use a calendar. I do because I forget everything. But what if also you were willing to be that unorganized and that out of control, that you were willing only really to plan 10 seconds ahead in time? And you know, that would probably sound funny to so many people if you know me, because I work on like in a day, maybe 50 projects in a day, across Access and Simone and Brennan's business and my own business. But honestly, when I create from this space, this is when I get the most done. Like this is when the time to do things is so easy and present with me. I know when they're required to be done, and they're done in, you know, a tenth of the time that it would have been if I'd have done my to-do list thing of like, next I'm going to do this and next I'm going to do this. So I find a question to ask every 10 seconds when I started doing it. What more can I create? Yeah. So, and also what next? Like do that 10 seconds. Okay, what next? And then that, and then what next? And if you just keep moving through your day like that and play with it too, I mean, it's probably not going to be something that you wake up tomorrow and you can just destroy everything you have in place around the systems that you use to run your life. But what if you just started playing with some of this as well? This is a cool question. Atali asks, what's the difference between choosing yes or no to chocolate cake and choosing yes or no to money? What are the grinds that make it feel different? Well, to answer the first question, what's the difference? Absolutely nothing. There's no difference in how you choose to eat a piece of chocolate cake or how you choose to spend $1,000 on something. Like if you're willing to be a question energetically, there's absolutely no difference. So what are the grinds that make it feel different? That's your points of view. And especially when money comes into play, that's your points of view about money. So like, what if even for this, like where you're looking at the chocolate cake or the money and you're asking a question, when it comes to the chocolate cake, it's always yes, obviously. There's no in the universe when it comes to chocolate cake. But if you're asking the question about something to do with money and all of a sudden that like wonky energy comes up, that wonkiness, what if that was the moment that you were present with the energy, like super present with it, and asked a question? Or even just using the tool of interesting point of view, but asking the question of like, okay, what's underlying here? Like, what's truly going on? And then let it start to unfurl. And it will, because the cool thing as well, if you ask a question, there will always be a change. There will always be a presentation energetically, or there'll always be something that will make it more clear for you, or something greater to show up. And if you keep choosing, like that's the other thing, if you keep choosing, it will always get greater. Everything will always get greater. So, yeah. Manuela asks, well, this isn't a question, but I'm avoiding it anyway, but I'm going to read it out because apparently I like to torture myself. Ease in love relationship. So, I mean, that's not even a question, but, I like that, Victor. Victor said, if this was chocolate cake, what would I choose? Fuck yes, that's awesome. So, hey, what if we looked at money like chocolate cake? And what if you could have the same energy with money that you have with chocolate cake? That's awesome. So in the love and relationship thing, I'm probably not your girl for that. What I would suggest is get the Relationship Are You Sure You Want One book. It's translated into a bunch of languages. They're doing classes. Simone and Brendan facilitate classes all around the world. The next one is in Rio de Janeiro in April. It's live streamed and you can come live. So the other cool thing about Access, like I can talk about all the shit that's changed for me, everything I choose every day, and hopefully out of that you guys pick up on something, or like I pick up on something from you. That's the other cool thing about this. Like Victor comes on and just like drops the mic in the middle of my Facebook Live. Like, what if it was that too? What if like there was always more out there available? So if you want to know more about relationships or more about money, like talk to people and ask questions, but also find the places that you can find out information about that. And Access, that's the cool thing about it. They literally, I can't think of one subject that they don't cover in one of their books or one of their classes. And a lot of, hey Paolo, I miss Brazil. I'll be back in April, my first time in Rio. I know a lot of people have points of view about Access classes, you need 3 or 4 days and they cost a lot of money and blah, blah, blah. But bullshit as well, because the books that are available, there's books out there that, it's a book and it's based on a 7-day class. So you can spend $50 on a book and you've basically got a whole class that people attended for 7 days, spent blah, blah, blah money and all that sort of stuff. So truly, if change is what you desire, there's stuff out there that you can find to contribute to that as well. But for relationships, I would definitely not listen to my advice on that one, and go to a Relationships Done Different class, or read Relationship Are You Sure You Want One book. Justin as well, asking how to keep sex fun and alive. Well, for that one, I can definitely give some advice, because sex isn't relationship. Sex is just sex. And what if sex, whether you're in a relationship or not, was just sex? So, I mean, how often do we get into a relationship with someone and sex starts to change and become something different than it was when either you first got together or when you were single and you were having sex with people willy-nilly? What if you could tap into that energy and ask the question of like, what did you have available there that you're not willing to have available now that you've been in a relationship with this person for X amount of time? And what if seriously it was like a game of Frisbee? I remember when I think Dane first said that, it might be in the embodiment book, or Sex is Not a 4-letter word. And I was like, what? No. Sex is like important, and it has to have an ending and it's got to be all of this. But what if truly like it was like you just took off your clothes and started playing with the person, like whoever that was? Hi Ish. Yeah, see, good timing. And the men know, they're just like, they're a little bit less sort of significant about this stuff than women sometimes. So yeah, Justin, I don't know, you're probably not watching this anyway, but I will always talk about sex. Relationships, I'm a little bit more like, and someone else asked about relationships as well. So Melanie asked about my story, pre-access and the journey. So I shared some of that at the start. And I'd be happy to talk about that. Like, I think I'm sort of one of the many poster children of how access and some of like this stuff has changed people and changed their world so much. And I'd be more than willing to talk about that, you know, all day. So I did talk a bit about it at the start. And basically, guys, it's so funny. I have a life that I'm sure a lot of people would either freak out at and be like, oh my God, you're fucking crazy, or they would be envious of it and wish that they had something like that, or something in between. And for me, I'm still like, you know, what next? Like every day, really, I'm like, and what would it take for me to not have it as like something I used against myself in a way? And it was really a question of me asking what next, because sometimes I'm like, I'm still not doing enough. I'm still not creating enough, when I know, you know, I contribute to and create a lot. So what if every day it was like that for anyone? And no matter what you're choosing now, because for me, it's like in 5 years, I've created a bunch, and I have some big targets as well. Like I have some big targets with what I want to do with my business, with financially, with growing access classes and getting the languages and the availability of these classes all around the world. So yeah, what if no matter what you were choosing, it was always a matter of just being grateful and acknowledging what you've chosen and what you have created, and then keeping asking for more to show up and to ask for what next. So there's a lot on here. I don't think I'm going to get through any of it really. Maybe I pick a couple, or maybe you guys tell me and I can do another one of these Facebook Lives. I've been on for like nearly half an hour, and I could just stay and talk, but I also I've jumped around a lot here, and there's a lot of information. So if there's anything else you guys could get out of this in the next 2 minutes, please post it. Hello, Victoria. Please post it in the chat, and then I'll do it. And then, so now I'd like to talk about a few things. Someone asked a question. What would it take to change the relationship with money related to someone did ask this in the chat, actually. So they said in the chat it was a similar question, clearing your debts from past lives. And then this one said, change your relationship with the money. I'm trying to see the rest of the question because apparently it's not showing me. So basically, and I don't know, Yasna, I'm not sure if that's how you say your name, where you're from. But if you have a lot coming up around past life stuff and spiritual stuff, I would start to look at like culturally what goes on in your world. A lot of the time, you're born into a lot of this stuff. And I know like we choose all of it as well, but I would start breaking down some of like the cultural, like almost like stereotypes that are going on in your life and with how you're choosing things. And when it comes to money or spiritual things or whatever it is, it's really that thing again of being right there in the moment with it. So, and I mean, you know, this is different for me. I come from Australia where, you know, our cultural norm is like, she'll be right, mate. So, which is also a thing in of itself. But now that I've traveled the world, I see so much how people are born into a family or a culture, and it becomes part of like this whole, the version of themselves, like what I started talking about at the beginning, like this version of you that you create based on your culture or your family. So what if like nothing could impact you and nothing could actually be the deterrent or the decision maker on your choices, and all it took really was being present with the fact that, oh, I've got this shit around spirituality coming up. Oh, I've got this shit around money coming up. And rather than going like, oh, that's a past life thing, or how do I get to the crux of it so I can figure out how to change it? And what if I could just get it right in this lifetime? Like, what if you could just acknowledge it, recognize the energy, acknowledge it, and then demand that it fucking changes? And keep demanding that it changes. And what if it could be really easy? And if you're willing to be with it like that in that moment, recognize it, change the energy, choose something different. Morning from the UK. Yes, Jenny, you can see the replay on my Facebook page. As soon as I'm finished here, it'll come up as a replay, so you can watch it. So yeah, all that stuff coming up around past lives, like, you know, previous things that you grew up with. I mean, I grew up in a household where we were like super duper poor. Like, we struggled week to week with stuff. If I bought into that as my reality and started creating my life based on my childhood in this lifetime, without going and looking at all the like the previous lifetime stuff, I'd be fucked. I would not have a life anywhere near as great as what I'm creating now. Because when I go to create something, if something comes up around that, I acknowledge it and then I choose something different and I change it. So what if really, like, it was easy? And I know no one wants to hear that. Everyone believes it needs to be like this tough battle of, but what if every time something came up in your world, it's because now's the time to handle it and change it? And that doesn't mean it won't come up again, because it probably will another 100, 500, 1,000 times. But what if every time it came up, it was because now is the time to change it? So I hope that helps. And you know, it's a Facebook Live. So also, what if we, like, now there's a bunch of great classes coming up. I mean, Access has hit some sort of rocket speed overdrive. There are more facilitators in the world facilitating classes. I'm one of them. And there are a bunch others on this Facebook Live. So what if you also reached out and looked at where you could go and attend a class or an intro? So we have a one-day class here in Estonia tomorrow with Simone Milicis called Access, Business and Money. So, I mean, if anywhere in your world there's something around your business or money you want to change, I don't know how many of you know Simone. I've worked very closely with her for 3 or 4 years now, and pretty much everything around that stuff that I've changed in my life has come from something I've heard her say in a class or online or in her books. So you can join that class from anywhere in the world. It's here in Estonia, but it's also on audio live. And then next weekend, she's got a choice of possibilities in Budapest in Hungary. I'm going to do an intro class that night. It's night 1, so I think it's Friday night. I'll post the link in here as well. And I'll have it on Zoom and online, so you can join from anywhere in the world. And that one's called Creating Your Financial Reality. So maybe those people as well that had the questions about financial stuff, yeah, you can come and attend that. I think it's like 50 or 70 euro or something. You'll get a replay. I'm going to translate it just into Hungarian, but it'll be in English as well, obviously. Oh my God, there's so much coming up. Then we head to Rome. We've got like the big facilitator training, but then we've got classes coming up in Australia. Simone and Brendan, as I said, are in Brazil doing relationship classes. And the cool thing about this as well is if there's a class on, you can attend it from anywhere in the world because we have live stream and audio live. So thank you guys for joining me. Anyone who missed the beginning or parts of it, the replay will come up as soon as I end this. And then if there's anything else you want me to talk about, because apparently I enjoy these now. And see that, even that energy too, like I remember 6 months ago, maybe even less, like the thought of coming on Facebook and doing a live like this would have been not like terrifying, but I would have gone into this whole place of like, what am I going to talk about? And having all of these layers of like expectations and that whole thing of creating it as a version of myself rather than just showing up and talking, like, which is basically what I've done for the last 30 minutes and enjoyed the hell out of myself. And maybe you guys have got something out of it, hopefully. And if not, I know myself I've gotten a lot out of it too. So what if like just showing up in your life like that and also acknowledging every time you change? So for me to acknowledge that I'm getting better at Facebook Lives and not having so many points of view about being on camera and being exposed or fucking up or saying the wrong thing or sounding unintelligent or not being funny or not making sense. Like, what if I could just do what was fun for me? And then if it's fun for you as well, hopefully, you know, it's a inspiration or something for you to choose something greater too. So thank you, everyone. I adore you all. I can't wait to see you all somewhere in the world in real life. And if there's anything else I can contribute, please let me know. Yeah, and what if you just had way too much fun and everything in your life was about creating more of the things that you love, more of the things that blow your hair back, light you up, and make you feel like you're infinite, like you're the infinite being that you truly are. Oh, great. Jade's going to tell me about her dream that she had about me and Mark. Hashtag awkward. As long as it's not like the reoccurring dream that Laura Marie has about me. I will never tell you guys about that unless I see you in person and I trust that, you know, you don't have too many judgments about things. I love you too, sister. I love you all. Thank you, everyone. Have a wicked, wicked, wicked day. Bye-bye.